This wood is super rare. Let's make something out of it. I've had these slabs sitting in my garage for a couple of years and finally found the right build to use them for. I'm not going to tell you what they are just yet, but I'm going to drop hints throughout this build to see if you can guess first. Let me know what you think it is based on the grain, pattern, color, and hints I drop. I had someone ask me to build a specialty coat rack which will hold quite a bit of weight, and they wanted something rustic with live edges. I'm not particularly a huge live edge guy, so I'm sure the purists are going to come in and tear me apart with my horrible technique at some point. If you're knowledgeable with live edge stuff and have advice, let me know in the comments because I have some questions. First hint, this wood is super soft, but extremely durable and almost does better outdoors than cedar. I had to be creative with milling this stuff, not only to keep the pieces as big as possible, but to keep my straight edges relatively even with the live edges. And since it's rare, I wanted to minimize waste wherever possible. This stuff cuts like butter and doesn't bog down any of my tools, and I lucked out with some really straight grain. Second hint, there are two species of this wood native to America, and they grow most heavily in the Midwestern region. This specialty coat rack is about 44 inches wide, and I needed two pieces at that length. It was easy to cut through both of them with the miter saw. I wanted to mortise in some partitions to create support, so I used this trick I learned from Jason at Bourbon Moth Woodworking. Essentially, you just clamp the two straight edges together and run your router along another straight edge. This keeps both top and bottom mortises parallel without measuring. And I hate measuring. Just make sure you don't go too far and use a sharp bit with the correct speed. I chose a 1/2 inch bit here so I can hide any inconsistencies with my joinery. I cut out two small partitions and started with creating the tenons on the router table, making sure to creep up on the perfect fit. To match the router cuts, I marked and cut away additional waste, then sloppily rounded over the edge of the tenons with the chisel. Third hint. The trees this wood comes from isn't exactly rare itself, but it's not economical enough to mill in quantities, which makes it extremely hard to come by because nobody is milling it. You're more likely to come across rare ebonies than this. Well, in most cases. Before gluing up any enclosed structure, I like to sand everything that would be hard to reach afterwards. I'll admit, you'll see me take some joinery shortcuts here because I definitely use screws in some places. Some people scoff at using screws or pocket hole joinery, but it ain't stupid if it works. Also, screws can add a bit of an industrial look if used correctly and nicely spaced out. Fourth hint, this species has a caterpillar named after it, and throughout the specific bug's lifetime, it exclusively eats this wood but never enough to actually kill the tree. I had one more live edge piece to glue into place and pull everything square. Since the backside is edge grain, it will hold strong to the total structure without being reinforced, but I still reinforce the sides with screws. I didn't actually know how to properly place a clamp on a live edge, so I just kinda winged it here. Once everything was dry, I flushed the back to the sides with a hand plane. I know it looks like I'm having trouble, but honestly I just didn't take the time to sharpen my blade like I should have. I purposely left the sides of the top piece long so I could flush it up with the flush cut saw. It's a little extra work, but I removed math from the equation, if that makes any sense. I cleaned the edges up with the flush trim bit and it came out super smooth, although it was really awkward to hold it up on the router table. The front end was bugging me, so I took the time to blend everything with a handsaw, rasp, and sander. Fifth hint, this species was first cultivated in 1754 and mainly used for fence posts until later used for railroad ties due to its resistance to rot. If you made it this far in the video, I promise the answer is coming soon. I'd also like to say I'd really appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe to my channel if you feel like I've earned it. Now right after asking for your subscription, I'm going to piss you off by coloring this beautiful wood with Rubio Monocoat charcoal. I know. I would have loved to keep the original color, but the person I'm making this for really wanted this color. I will admit, it does give the rustic style a fancy little touch. I mentioned before this is a specialty coat rack, so it required specialty hardware. It's going to be holding up heavy vests which are weighted down with all types of items. I hate math with a passion, so I use spacer blocks whenever possible. I swear no amount of math will ever get me as good of results as jigs and spacer blocks. I know my crappy phone camera doesn't do this project justice, but luckily this video wasn't so much about the build as it was the wood. I guess I should also mention, this is northeastern catalpa wood. Thanks for watching.